Today I'm going to share how I set up my Canon R7 for bird photography. I will go through all 6 of the autofocus menu options and then show you how I set up 2 back buttons for autofocus. One with subject tracking on, which is very good for flying birds, and another button without subject tracking, which I use most of the time for most birds. Let's start with the autofocus 1 menu. Autofocus operation is always on servo, which means continuous autofocus while you press the button. One-shot autofocus is used in human portrait photography and some other examples, but servo has got so good there's no need to put it on anything else. Autofocus area, my default is spot focus, but other autofocus areas are also useful, so I keep quite a few of them available to me. Later I will show you how to set up one button so you can toggle between all the different autofocus areas. Subject tracking is a monster that comes switched on with the camera and can ruin many a photograph. It's superb in the right conditions, and we'll turn it on when we need it, and I'll tell you about it then. But at this level, the higher level, turn it off. So let's tell the camera to look for animals, and let's put eye detection on. And what that'll do when you push the autofocus button is it'll be guided by your autofocus area, and it'll look for an animal, and then it'll look for an eye inside that animal. In Canon speak, an animal is a bird, a dog, or a cat, or anything that looks vaguely like that. In the R1 and the R5 Mark II, it has now been trained to look for horses, which is useful. With subject tracking turned on, the camera will look anywhere in your view, and it'll look for the subject which is the most obvious and the one that is closest to you. And it will look for an eye first, then the face, then a head, then a torso. And in the R1 and the R5 Mark II, it will look for upper body, torso as well. If you have it turned on when you're photographing a bird in the tree, it might decide that the branch above its head is slightly closer, and the focus will automatically switch to that. And you have very little control of what it does. Switching tracked subject. If it is on 0, it will try and stay on the bird that you're focusing on. If it's on 2, then it will easily switch to another bird if it comes in the scene. I keep it on 0. The autofocus 2 menu consists of 2 parameters. Tracking sensitivity. If it's on -1, it locks onto a subject and doesn't jump easily to another one. If it is on +1, it is very responsive. As far as acceleration and deceleration goes, if you put it on +1, the camera is expecting a constant speed from a bird. Say a large bird flying left to right, +1. If there's sudden changes in acceleration, like swallows perhaps, then you'd put it on -1. I have found that auto works very well. Autofocus menu 3, one-shot autofocus release priority, only works on the first shot, and it either prioritizes the focus of the shot or the release of the shot. If you want a fast release, put it on release. If you want perfect focus, put it on focus. Preview autofocus must be disabled, otherwise whenever the camera's awake, it will autofocus. If it's on your back or wherever it is, it'll continue to autofocus and it'll drain the battery. Disable it. Lens drive autofocus impossible. When autofocus is not happening for whatever reason, on means keep searching continuously regardless, and off means let it stop and I'll do manual focus. Autofocus Assist fires a beam to help autofocus. It doesn't work with a big lens because it gets in the way, and it doesn't work unless the subject is close. It's also involved in flash photography, which we're not going to discuss here. Turn it off. Touch and drag, I turn on. It means that when you're looking through the viewfinder, you can take your right thumb and just move the focus area around by stroking the LCD monitor. I set it to the right side of the monitor because my eye is obscuring the left side. Limit AF areas. This is where you set which autofocus areas are available to you, and you can toggle through them. The less you have, the quicker it is to toggle through them. I have quite a few set. You may only want to have 2. So just tick the ones you want and they will be available to you. Sensitivity, autofocus point select, just controls how sensitive the joystick is. It's like setting your computer mouse to move quickly or slowly across the screen. Orientation linked autofocus point just means where do you want the autofocus to be when you move the camera from horizontal to vertical. Do you want it to stay in the middle, or do you want it to go a little higher? Usually you do want it to go higher, so I set it to be separate. MF peaking settings. In manual focus only, we'll get colors on the edges that are sharp. You can set the sensitivity of these colors and what color you would like. Usually use red or yellow. Those are the easiest to see. Focus guide on can be useful in manual focus. What you will see is 3 little shapes, and then as you turn the ring, you will see that these shapes converge together, and when they're in focus they turn green. So turn focus guide on. Electronic full-time manual focus. All the RF lenses of Canons are electronic lenses, and you need to turn this on if you want to use the focus ring while in autofocus mode. If it's not turned on and you turn the lens to manual focus, then it will also work. You can disable manual focus after you've taken one shot, or you can enable it, with magnification, which is very useful. What it'll do is it'll pick an area it thinks needs focusing, and it will magnify it in the viewfinder. Here you can tell the camera what to do when the focus ring is rotated. In this case, focus. You can tell it whether to focus from left to right or right to left, and you can set the sensitivity. You can also tell the camera to change the focus related to how fast you turn the ring or how much you return the ring. Okay, let's move on to setting up the back button focus, and for that we need to go to Small Camera, Menu 3. The first button we're going to work with is the picture taking button, and we're going to tell the camera that when we half press it, we only want it to meter light, we don't want it to autofocus. Scroll down to the AE lock button, the star button under the camera, and we're going to set that to meter light and to autofocus. In other words, we're going to remove its AE lock function. Now push the detail set button, and this is where the magic happens. Whatever you tick will be executed when you push down the star button. So if the menu is set at a higher level, you don't have to tick it, like we've already set it to servo. And our AF area we don't want to tick, otherwise it'll force that area, and we want to be able to change it. Subject tracking off, not necessary because we've got it at a higher level, but belt and braces, it's a monster. Okay, let's set the second button, the AF on button, and now we're going to set that button to do subject tracking. So start by switching on autofocus and metering on that particular button. Again, push the info detail set button and then set subject tracking to on. Subject to detect is the animals. Now when we push that button, the subject will be captured by the camera and it will lock onto it and follow it. So it'll follow a flying bird across the sky, for example. The final button we're going to set up is the multifunction button, and what we're going to use that for is to toggle between the different autofocus areas. So here I am repeatedly pushing the multifunction button and toggling through the different AF areas, which you can select in AF menu 4. If you want to customize an AF area, push the checkerboard button, the multifunction button, and I kid you not, the checkerboard button again. Here I am pushing checkerboard, multifunction, checkerboard. And make sure you are on one of the custom ones, and then you'll get these two little dials here that you can manipulate the size of the box, where it is, move it left, right, put it wherever you want it, save it as one of the custom AF areas. Yes, so that's how I set up my autofocus. And you'll see a lot of blogs about people who cannot use the R7 because of the autofocus. You can bet your bottom dollar they've got subject tracking turned on. There are many professional photographers who turn it off and never use it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.